My name is Eliza. I'm 30, married for 4 years to Tom, and right now, sitting here alone in this quiet apartment, I feel like I'm drowning in regret. From the outside, people saw us as that perfect couple, happy, loving, and inseparable. But behind closed doors, things were far from perfect. When Tom and I first met, he was the most affectionate man I'd ever known. He touched me all the time, holding my hand, brushing my hair, kissing my neck. At first, I loved the attention. It made me feel wanted and special. But as time passed, the constant physical desire he showed began to suffocate me. Every hug, every casual touch seemed charged with a sexual energy that I wasn't always ready for. I started to feel like I was less of a person and more of an object, a body he wanted, but not the woman he loved. It became exhausting. I tried to explain it gently, saying that sometimes I just wanted comfort, not desire. But Tom never seemed to get it. He didn't understand that his natural physical reactions made me uncomfortable. I started pulling away, trying to protect myself from feeling overwhelmed. But instead of slowing down, Tom's behavior didn't change. If anything, it became more intense. The pressure to respond to his desire made me feel trapped. I was ashamed of my own feelings, and that shame grew into resentment. One night, after a long, stressful day at work, I just snapped. Tom came to hold me, and as usual, his hands moved down my back in that way that immediately made me tense. I told him I was tired of feeling like nothing more than a sexual object. I told him it hurt, that I needed him to see me as more than just his desire. He looked shocked, hurt even, but he didn't push back. Instead, something in him seemed to shut down. From that night on, the warmth and passion in our relationship started to fade. Tom became distant, careful not to touch me in ways that might excite him. The affectionate man I once loved was gone. But with that distance came silence. Our marriage was unraveling, and I was left wondering how something so beautiful had become so broken. How my words, my pain, and his desires had pushed us both away from each other. After that night, things changed between us in a way I never expected. Tom became cautious, almost robotic, in how he interacted with me. No more spontaneous touches, no more lingering hugs or kisses. It was like he was afraid to feel anything that might trigger that overwhelming desire he couldn't control. At first, I thought this would give me relief. Finally, I wouldn't feel like I was constantly under pressure to perform or respond. But instead, it felt like I was living with a stranger. Our home, once filled with warmth and laughter, grew cold and quiet. I missed the man who used to look at me like I was the only woman in the world, but I couldn't deny that some part of me still resented the way he had made me feel. Like my body was always on display, like my feelings didn't matter. I tried to talk to him about it, to explain how I felt torn between needing affection and needing space. But the conversations always ended in silence or frustration. Tom would say, "I'm just trying not to hurt you," but his guardedness hurt me just as much. Weeks passed. We stopped sharing our days, our worries, our dreams. The intimacy that once defined us vanished. One night, I found myself crying alone in our bedroom, overwhelmed by the weight of everything unsaid. I wondered if we could ever find our way back, or if I had already pushed him too far away. The breaking point came quietly. Tom came home one evening, late. I was sitting at the kitchen table, pretending to read, the same page open for an hour. He walked in, gave me a tired nod, and went straight upstairs. No kiss, no how was your day, not even eye contact. I sat there staring at the doorway, something sinking in my chest. This wasn't anger anymore. This was something else. Withdrawal, resignation, the kind of silence that doesn't expect an answer. That night, I crept into bed beside him like I was sneaking into a stranger's house. He didn't move. His breathing was steady, eyes closed, arms folded. I stared at the ceiling, wondering how we got here, wondering if I had driven him to this, or if he had given up on us long before I even realized it. I wanted to reach out and touch his back. I didn't. I wanted to say, I miss you, but I was too scared of what he'd say in return. Days passed. Then one evening, he wasn't home. I didn't panic at first. Maybe he was working late. Maybe he was blowing off steam. But when midnight came and went, and his phone went straight to voicemail, something inside me cracked. I checked his closet. Half his clothes were gone. The drawer where he kept his watch, his journal, his charger, it was empty. There was no note, no text, no explanation, just nothing. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the space he used to occupy. The silence was deafening. In the days that followed, I went through a cycle of disbelief, rage, and despair. I texted him, Tom, where are you? Please talk to me. No answer. I know I made mistakes. I know I hurt you. But just disappearing? That's not you. Still silence. I called his sister. She said she hadn't heard from him, but sounded distant, guarded. I could tell by the tone in her voice she knew. Maybe not the details, but enough to choose sides. Our friends stopped texting. Some unfollowed me on social media. One even commented on an old post of us smiling together. Guess it was all fake, huh? I wanted to scream. Yes, I messed up. But it wasn't all fake. It wasn't. Was it? I replayed our last few months over and over, searching for signs, reasons, excuses. My guilt felt like acid in my stomach. The affair, the stupid, reckless, meaningless affair, had started in a moment of weakness. I was lonely. I was tired of being seen and not heard, of being desired but not cherished. It was emotional at first, then physical, and then over. Done. I told myself it didn't matter, but it did. It mattered to Tom, and I saw it in his eyes the day he found out, even if he never yelled, never lashed out. He just died inside, and now he was gone. Weeks turned into months. No word from Tom, no lawyer, no papers, nothing. I lived in limbo, haunted by the echo of my own betrayal. I used to think grief was for death, but you can grieve the living too, especially when you're the one who killed what you had with them. I tried writing him a letter. I never sent it. Tom, I don't know where you are. I don't know if you'll ever read this. Maybe it's selfish of me to even try. But I want to say what I couldn't before. You didn't deserve what I did to you. No matter how neglected or lonely I felt, there was no justification. You were always trying. Even when we were tired, even when we drifted, you stayed. And I walked away in the worst way. If I could undo it, I would. Not just for you, for me too. Because now I see what I traded love for. A moment. A flash of feeling. An illusion. I live with the guilt. Every day. And maybe that's the only justice in this. You lost your peace. I lost myself. I'm sorry. I loved you. I still do. Mara, I burned it after writing it. It didn't feel right to burden him with it. I started therapy. I told the truth, piece by piece. It didn't fix anything, but it gave me language for my shame, for my silence, for the choices I made that cost me the man who was once my home. One night, I saw him. 6 months had passed. I was walking through the old market we used to visit on Sundays, and there he was, by the fruit stand, laughing with someone, a woman. She touched his arm gently. He didn't pull away. He didn't see me. I froze behind a stall, breath caught in my throat. It was like watching a memory that didn't belong to me anymore. And in that moment, I knew I had become a ghost in his story. And maybe that's all I deserved. There are nights I lie awake, wondering if he still thinks of me, if he ever hated me, or just stopped feeling anything at all. That's the cruelest punishment, isn't it? When someone who once knew every inch of you becomes a stranger who walks past you without even turning their head. I tell this story not to gain sympathy, but because the guilt needs a place to live outside of me. If you've ever broken someone who trusted you, if you've ever looked into the eyes of someone you love and seen nothing looking back, then you already know. Some mistakes don't get forgiven, they just get remembered forever.